We're Arts and Adventure Summits, the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm your host, R. Brandon Long, along with
Todd Oberndorfer.
And we are, the best hosts for the greatest podcast in all the land, the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land. And we're calling the show the Birds and Brews.
I love it.
No,
I love it.
Birds and Beats.
Oh,
Birds and Beats.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, Birds and Beats. Because we have DJ Bryson Dearden in here.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
DJ and, do we say snowboarder?
Skier.
Skier, really?
Oh, yeah.
Edit. Okay. I didn't know that was
Yeah, skier, man. I actually grew up snowboarding, but no, skier.
Skier now.
Die hard.
Okay, very good. And Susan Snyder, our neighbor here at the Monarch building, catio enthusiast.
That ain't no joke.
It's no joke.
Wow. Yeah, it's right out there right away, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Which, by the way, has kind of inspired me a little bit. Like, I might have to. She had this idea, Todd, and it's a fantastic idea. She's like, I'm building this catio, and it's a legit cat. Like, you can stand up in it. You can.
I sit in there with my coffee every morning.
Sits in there
in a cage with my.
There's
cat.
a table and chairs, and she's like, I'm going to do the catio podcast, and she's never had a podcast before, but I'm like, that's actually effing brilliant. Like, the freaking catio podcast. I don't know what you would talk about.
Cocktails in the catio.
That's right. Cocktails in the catio was the name of the podcast.
I don't know.
I would see if that URL is available now, and the Instagram.
I like the cocktail part because I bet there's a lot of cat podcasts out there. But I like the cocktails in the catio. That's
in the catio. In the catio.
Yeah.
You are a artist, watercolor artist.
I am. Yep.
And naturalist.
I am.
And what else?
It means she likes to paint naked.
That's
Yes. That's a
In the
naturist.
catio.
It's a naturist, but I'm not opposed, actually.
But that's another
It's another podcast. I don't think anybody wants to see that. So
we do have that on a subscription basis, and so
that's the OnlyFans. You pay
you
extra
got to
on
be
that one.
21.
it's our
sorry.
only podcast, or only Banyans, only Banyans, only Fanians, only Fanians. That's what it is.
Fanians.
Our only fan. I think maybe that should be our subscription level name. Todd is only Fanians, and you pay like $19.95, or sorry, like.
I think it's the magic number is around $20. Yeah,
$20.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This
And
day
then
and age, $20.
Yep.
$20. Okay, thanks for your support. 1969.
Yes, it has to be.
Right.
There you go.
And then you get gems like Susan podcasting naked from the catio.
Wow, this went south really fast, didn't it? Dang.
no, but it's got like that. It's got the blur. It's like you're fully closed, but we put the blur like as if.
Oh, you want to blur. You want to blur from about here down is what you want to blur. So there we go. Yeah.
It's full blur.
You have to upgrade to remove the blur though. So you got to pay like $22
Yeah.
Oh no.
to remove.
They'll
the
give
blur.
you $22.
And it removes the blur on like the cat.
On the
walking
cat.
around.
There you go. That's better. Yeah.
Nice.
Because there's a word there I'm not going to say, but that's
Yeah.
it removes, but you can remove the blur on the
The
then-
cat.
cat, yeah.
Kitty.
All I see is dollar bills.
dollar bills.
Oh,
yo.
I'll invest right now. I'll give you everything I got. Right?
See, Bryson's in, man. I'll tell you what.
This is so wrong already. It's great.
Bryson's like, I got a DJ set for this already.
Do it.
I got a few records in mind. I can
Yeah.
be like, you know what? Let's go.
Some Barry Manilow or something in the background.
Oh,
Barry White.
very,
Very white.
Yes.
There you go.
whoa.
Oh
Yeah.
baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we haven't had either one of you on the podcast before, but we sort of know both of you a little. Do either of you want to jump in and dive in with your stories first? Normally I choose, and you don't have a choice, but I think I'm throwing it
Hey,
up today. I'm
I'll
generous.
go. I'll go.
I'll start.
Todd, you're
No,
in.
I'm sorry.
He's like, look, this is my show, dude. I don't
I don't want to share.
Todd's in. Todd's in.
Take a back seat. I'm gonna take a back seat, but I will chime in. Let's
I know.
just call
Chime in,
Todd's
man.
supposed to be the co-host, but I am overbearing. So sorry.
love it.
Bryson, when did you start DJing?
The start was probably around 14 years old.
The camera. Look at the camera. I'm just kidding.
14. 14 years old. My dad introduced me to music, really. I mean, back when I was younger, and saw that I really enjoyed it and was like, hey, dude, like, what can we do to, what can we get you started?
What are you DJing on at 14?
Dude, my dad bought me these not even turntables, but you put CDs in them. And so you would burn CDs or just buy your regular CDs from the store, and you would put those in, and basically it would just load up the tracks, and you could just pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just down the track list, and you just pick your songs. But my dad basically was like, let's not have you just I'll burn you a CD with some beats on it or something, some just instrumental tracks or something like that, and then I got you a CD with just acapellas, so just words on top of them. And so basically I would take those and I would put them together, take words, put it over a instrumental track, and try to make them line up basically to create what you would call a remix basically now. And so I did not know what I was doing really back then.
What were you?
I got a first question here.
Okay,
cool, man.
First question. Yep.
So what's wrong with your dad to support you as a musician at that age? Like, that is not a common thing.
No.
It isn't.
What happened with him? Obviously,
Dude,
he supports his son, which is great. But like, what happened to him as a kid?
I think my dad.
What's he making up for him?
I think my dad always was like a free-spirited dude. Loved, he's a 80s kid, or was born in the 70s, and 80s kid, boomboxing and riding the bike around. And listening.
I'm not Bryson's dad.
He's my stepdad. But no, so I think just that 80s era, the hairband to the new wave, and everybody had boom boxes, and
I love it.
And it was that time where cassettes and all that stuff. And my dad was a big Led Zeppelin fan, and Steve Miller Band and Iron Maiden, and I mean, we'd go fishing and he would put on all that stuff when we would fish, and I just love that music. And iPod full of music. I mean,
I love that.
And so I was just always cruising in the truck, and we'd go hunting or fishing or whatever, and I'm just like, Dad, let me see your iPod, let me see. And I was just always picking songs. And he would, he was just like, oh, you picked this one, okay, or something like that. And so it kind of just turned into us going to Guitar Center one time. And
I have a question if this song was on the playlist, because it was a song I loved as a child, but I don't know if it made it. It's a similar era, but a different type of music, and that's Electric Avenue.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a kid definitely listening to Electric Avenue.
Yeah, okay.
I one of my first songs I feel like I remember was something like around those lines, you know what I mean? And then also, like, we watched Cops all the time, so the Inner Circle, the Police song.
Yeah.
That, I mean, if you actually really listen to that song, it's actually a really good song besides the cop theme, but that falls in the same line.
Co-op.
Bad boys, bad boys.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna
Oh, dude, I would DJ that song if Cops came into the bar down at one of the bars in town. If Cops would come in and they'd come and scope it out, check it out, you would just hear the guitar part and then and just like
Do they dance to that? Do the cops?
Oh yeah,
like, yeah.
Dude, people would lose their minds when I put that on. People would just start just hysterically laughing, you know what I mean? And the cops would look up at me on stage and give me thumbs up. And
I love
dude,
it.
they total good sports about it, man.
Yeah.
It was just so much fun. And I was just kind of every set I'd be like, kind of hope the cops show up because I want to play this.
So you've got these two CD player things, or it's one unit with CDs in it, and then what? Like, then what do you buy next? Like, how do you progress from there?
That didn't last super long because that equipment was it's not super reliable, or it was, it wasn't, you're not going to give 14-year-old, some super expensive, reliable equipment. And with those type of equipment, it's a lot of moving parts, and, you scratch a CD, it doesn't work anymore and stuff like that. So being young and not putting them back in the case properly, it just kind of turned into, where things just weren't working properly. And so we took that back because it was malfunctioning. My dad's like, what if we get you into producing music maybe? And so bought me a keyboard and bought me a software program called Ableton. And basically I sat and I taught myself how to record audio using this program.
Did you know how to play keys?
No, did not know how to play keys. I just, he bought me this keyboard. I'd load sounds up onto it and just try to start programming music basically. And it was challenging. I knew nothing about it. And, sit at the chair, the lazy boy chair with his laptop, and you could just like hear me trying to make music off of this. And he would just sit there and just be like, dude, you got anything yet? Like, I can't even make a sound come out of this thing.
Are you doing this like with headphones on, or what do you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. Headphones on. And it's come a long ways because I still use that program to this day. I still make music with it, and I can work my way around this program now for many years. I've been able to do it. Now I can record music and produce music using it now, and it's beautiful. It's just like a painting or anything. It's like I sit down, I want to make a song, make some music. It's just like working on a painting or something. It takes your mind to a creative space where you can learn. And my dad put this little seed in me, you know what I mean, on just being like, dude, you could become a DJ and a producer. And
well, that's the knock on DJs, is all you do is push buttons.
Right. So with that though, then there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm a push button DJ too. You know what I mean? You have to adjust with the technology and the times and things like that. But I just think over time, with making music, I would start, I moved into my grandparents' house and they had a record collection. So I was learning that producers back in the 80s and the 90s and even the early 2000s were sampling old records and making music out of them. And it was just an art form that it was forbidden, really. You sample Queen's like, hey man, no, you're not taking our sample, and it turned into a thing where it was
did Kanye make it okay? Who made it okay?
I mean, Kanye probably has several lawsuits against him on sample clearancing and things like that. And so the thing is though, is like, there's ways to get around it. You can take sounds.
You can ask.
You can
in advance.
Yeah, you could do that.
Right?
Weird, but yeah.
I mean, there's ways to do it, right? Like to do it a proper way. And I think you should go about it in a responsible way. If you're going to take music from something, you need to give credit to that artist because producers who sample records, they're showcasing a part of a song that people don't know, and then they go back, they listen to that, and they're like, where did that sample come from? Oh, well, it came from Isaac Hayes. And it's like, well, who's Isaac Hayes? And then they go, and that person can become a fan of Isaac Hayes because he heard a song that sampled Isaac Hayes. So in this art form, we're trying to pay tribute to these artists by being like, hey, take an Etta James sample or something like that of her singing just a word. And people are like, that's a beautiful word she just said. What is that? Where did that come from? That's Etta James. And then they're a fan of the original song.
Right.
And so it's tricky, but in a way...
It's tricky.
It's tricky, right? And Run DMC was the ones that they kind of brought that rock and roll and that old school hip hop thing together when they made Walk This Way with Aerosmith. They were like, because the rock and rollers were like, oh, the hip hop.
That was a big deal.
No.
You remember that, Todd? That was a big deal. Like, because for them they came out on MTV and they got this song and these two genres are together. And as a kid, I'm like, actually, these two people hate each other. And so when they did this, like these two groups at your local high school or community, like they don't get along. So them coming together to do this was fascinating.
It brought, respect between amongst genres towards one another on doing this, and I think it's a really neat thing, because I listen to music and I go, I got to find that sample, right? And I can go to the record store and I just randomly pick out a record. I go home and I listen to it and I hear something. I go, that's where he got that from. And it's like something about owning that vinyl, which I'm paying for, which I would hope the original artist would be getting money for. I'm buying that because I heard what that one artist used and sampled. So it can kind of go in a circle in a way, you know, and that's the intentions, I think, as me is like, I like to pay respect and tribute to the people that are the original creators of this music, you know, and I think if there's a way to really give them that credit and let them know that, hey, I didn't create that part, but I took that part and I exposed it to a whole other group of people. And, you know, those artists, James Brown, you would think he'd be the last one to be like, you cannot sample my music. No way. He is like, keep sampling my music.
It keeps him alive.
Mm-hmm. It keeps him alive.
Well, that's that Mac Miller line. No, not Mac Miller. The other white rapper.
Macklemore.
Thanks. What is it? You die twice.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The first time you die, and then last time you die is the last time someone mentions your name.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's it's not an original line, maybe, but the way he raps it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that's true too. So if you're keeping that music alive,
yeah, man,
you know?
And you're throwing maybe like a new kind of fun energy, maybe a young energy to it, to where these, you know, you're exposing it to another generation of people, but the younger generation, or, you know, as generations go on, I feel like we're getting more energetic, and we want more fast-paced music or upbeat music to, you know, if you're in your 20s, that's what you want to listen to, right? Or in your teens, it's like, I want the fastest upbeat music.
Well, and it ebbs and flows all the time. But let's follow the story plot here.
Yeah,
you're sitting on your lazy boy with this machine or software on Ableton on the laptop. That's my phone's probably more powerful than right
absolutely.
now. Yeah,
absolutely.
And then where'd you go from there?
So now it goes to really just inheriting a grandparent's record collection.
Oh, that's nice.
I moved in with them, and up in my bedroom when I was living with them, I saw a crate of records up there, and I'm just like, you know, what's this all about? I really didn't know much about it. And take that crate down, you look through, you got, you know, Thriller, Off the Wall, Earth, Wind and Fire, Christopher Cross, disco and rock and roll, and you got all that good a lot of that 70s and early 80s music and things like that, you know. And I was young and dumb, and I was like, you know, Grandma, can I have these? And she's like, yeah, take them, you know, they're yours, great. You know. And I was just like, so like, I could get some money for these. Like, this is I know, right? So listen to this. Listen to this. It's like, I could get a little bit. This is a Michael Jackson Thriller album, right? I know nothing about it, so I'm like, I feel like I'm holding the holy
Any
grail.
plastic still on these?
No, but they're original presses.
Yeah,
I mean, they're from that time. So I go down to Graywell. Shout out to Graywell. I mean, keep Graywell going, man. I feel like we got to keep Graywell going. I really like that store. But I went down to Graywell, and I was gonna sell these records, and I go up to the counter. I'm like, hey man, looking to get rid of these. You know, and they're just like, we'll give you $100, you know, and I'm like, $100, dude, no way,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you had the intuition to be like,
this feeling just like kind of came over me a little bit on being like, hey, dude, you know, it just didn't feel right, you know, and so I ended up keeping them. They're still in my collection today. I still use them today, and I'm so grateful I have them today, because it was 2 boxes. I mean, big boxes. Wow. Yeah. You know, 60 records, you know, and so I kept those, and I was just like, maybe I should get a turntable, you know, and got a turntable. And then I was like, well, you know, doing a little research, maybe I need to get a mixer. And then I got another turntable, and now I'm like, you know, my great grandma's like, here, take my turntable that's out there in the living room, and it's the one you press the button and the tone arm comes out, and
nice.
then not a DJ turntable.
Right.
Absolutely not a DJ turntable. So,
but cool. Yeah.
Cool, right? But so I would just play records on that one. I'd let that one play, and then I would learn how to scratch records with the actual direct drive turntable that was built for that. And so grandparents supportive. They're like, dude, great, you know. I think it's cool what you're doing. We'll help you try and get a little bit of equipment. And I just had like a good little support system there, you know what I mean? And they were just like,
They go to clubs with you?
What's that?
Did they go to the clubs with you?
The clubs.
Please.
Get grandma out of the club. She's wasted.
Oh, God.
No, but I did Peculiar Pours at the Union Station, and I did an all vinyl set there at 21 years old, and they came down and saw it.
Love it.
They love it, and they still think I'm the coolest dude on the planet because I do it. But
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm just accumulating records now. Went back when I was really starting to collect, 19, 20 years old. No money, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm spending every last dime on a record.
Yeah.
Going down the lavender.
If you had to put a dollar amount on the value of your
dude,
records.
I think they grow, and they're getting more valuable as time goes on. But dude, 30 grand maybe.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
How much do you spend right now on records, like say a month or per year?
I always am like, Bryson, don't go to the record store, dude, because I end up spending over 100 pretty much. Almost every time I go in there, I spend almost over $100. But I'm walking out with
Go to the grocery store and buy eggs and like cheese, and it's like $100.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I look at it and I go, I walk out with the stack of records though that I'm like, dude, I'm so glad I have these right now. I can't wait to spin these for people, or I'm just proud.
So
of it.
you inherited a lot of records, but do you remember the first records you bought?
The first record I bought, man, dude.
You, Todd?
It's a minute ago,
No?
man.
Do you
It
remember
wouldn't have been a record. It would have been like
a tape cassette or
cassette or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was a minute ago, dude.
Yeah.
I've bought so many to where it's just like,
I want to say, I don't know if it was the first. I think, but Thompson Twins was really early on.
mm-hmm.
My first tape cassette was I want to say Iron Maiden, which blows my mind.
Nice.
And then it was Van Halen, and then I took a left.
Yeah, it wasn't any of those for me.
I took a hard left. I went UB40, and then Erasure of the Innocents.
Okay.
And so I went like,
Yeah.
yeah.
80s though, man. That's-
Yeah, I mean, and then I went Oingo Boingo, and like I kind of that whole thing, and but the records that my best friend's older brother had in his basement were like Violent Femmes, TSOL, Black Flag.
Okay.
And that was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Because I'd never listened to that kind of punk music before.
Right.
It's Toy Dolls, you
Right.
know. But my mom's record collection was Doris Day to Michael Jackson. And then I did have, and I still have, some of my dad's, the smaller records, whatever.
45s.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And those are mostly old soul type.
Yeah,
records.
radio hits to soul music, to classic, a lot of classic rock and things like that are on those as well. I love 485s, man. 45s make my life easy.
Really? Why is that?
You get a good collection of 45s. Like I said, dude, a lot of hits are on 45s, and they're jukebox music, man.
Yeah.
And so it's carrying a crate of 45s or carrying 3 crates of LPs, right? It's like the weight difference is unreal. The back breaking is unreal.
Do you always DJ vinyl now, or do you switch it up?
It really just depends on the event. If I feel like the vibe is all vinyl, definitely going to do that. If it's like, something outside, it's 100 degrees, I'm not taking my records out there. So it really just depends on the time and place, like who my clientele is, the age range that's going to be there. I mean, I love being the young dude behind the turntables, pulling out Al Green,
Yeah.
putting Al Green on.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just people that are just see me and they're just like, this young dude's playing Al Green right now. Like,
Right.
and I just like love that aesthetic, that nostalgic feeling, that brings to me and brings to my soul. Cause I spend so much time digging for these records and I want to play them for people.
Yeah.
So when I get that opportunity to play it for them, I'm just like,
What's your most played record?
my most played, Rick James, man.
Oh yeah.
Rick James.
Dude, I love the funk, man. I'm a big funk fan, and I think funk music is just upbeat and fun, and funky bass lines and good drums, and it's moving music, man. And I always got Rick James or James Brown with me. if I wanted to get smoother, like Bob James, anybody with James in their name, dude.
James is winning. I like James, the artist, James. You familiar with James?
I would have to check him out.
Let's see, Sit Down and is it Laid? The Laid one's a little risque to play live.
Yeah.
But Sit Down's very popular.
So
in the vein of like Morrissey kind of.
In that 70s range?
No, 80s.
80s.
80s alternative, late 80s, early 90s alternative.
Interesting. But dude, like I love the new wave era too, you know what I mean? Or just like the electro funk 80s boogie
there's so many subgenres too. And so
like,
when you decide to go in front of you don't decide, or you get hired or whatever to go in front of a crowd, how do you figure out what they want to listen to?
Dude, I think I visually I picture this event before it even happens. Somebody's like, "Hey, I want you to play here." I just visualize that moment, and I just think ahead, and I go, "What kind of place is this? What kind of vibe is it? What does the room look like?" And sometimes you just got to do you, man. Go and wing it.
How often are you surprised or just totally get it wrong?
I don't feel like I've worked enough events to where I feel like I can just be like, oh, I can adjust pretty quickly. Now, an all vinyl set, obviously you got to work with what you got. You got to make sure you got, if the funk isn't working, you got to put on Tears for Fears then. Like you got to, you got to like be able to make those types of adjustments and make sure that you got that in your artillery, your ammo box, that's what we call it. And just, if you got to change it up, change it up and just try to work with it. And most people, dude, like it sucks because I put so much work into a vinyl set, right? Yeah. And some people are just, they could care less. They're just like, is the music good? Like, great. That's what is so important, is just play great music, man. Doesn't matter.
I was looking, because like I mentioned before the show, I like literally Googled like how to DJ. And one of the answers, like one of the, I don't know if it was an Instagram post or something, but it was like, just play bangers. Like, that's, dude, like that is the answer,
dude. Like, it's literally whether you like that music or not. I mean, if it's gonna make the event work, you gotta adjust. And sometimes it's not about you. And I used to be like, it's about me, man. I'm gonna play what I like and I'm gonna do what I gotta do. But sometimes it's just not that way. Sometimes you have to put the ego aside and you have to adjust and become a chameleon in the situations that you're in, so you can make a successful event. Because that's literally the most important thing, is just making sure the host or the people who are doing the events, they like you and they want you back.
Hey, we can understand. Brandon and I, we hate the arts and the outdoors.
But it's
for years. But the audience is huge. Ogden,
huge.
They just lap up arts and outdoors, and we're like, all right, let's do it.
Dude, might as well.
It's a torture every time we talk about it.
It's a positive thing.
Okay, so I got a few questions for you. So the first one is how much are you allowed to sample from a musician, like legally? Is there a legal amount? Is there a few seconds that you are legally allowed to, or is it just like any use at all you have to have permission?
I think you're allowed to. I mean, I'm pretty sure James Brown's or somebody got sued for saying "hey." You know what I mean? It's like you can't take James Brown saying "hey" without clearing it,
right?
Because that's just. I think it could really come down to literally a millisecond. If you don't own it, you don't own it. And there's ways and technology nowadays to where you can take. You could take a sound and you can completely change it to where they have no idea where it came from. Transpose the sound to be higher or lower, or, put effects on these sounds and make them, you can get past it. You have to be clever and you have to be tricky. But do I think taking a horn sound that's just a horn stab, like, just the horn, is that really wrong for me just to take a horn stab and put it in my song? I mean, I don't have a horn. I don't own a horn.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the horn player is. And if I gave credit to the horn player, I don't think anybody's going to really care about the little horn I took, right?
Right.
It's like, so I think, if you're being blatant about it, you need to give credit where credit is due.
Because I'm thinking, I go through spells, every now and again, but I went through a Skrillex phase, and then it became just a little too much. But you're probably familiar, but he just samples song after song after song after song.
Absolutely.
But I'm just like, there's no way he's paying for every one of these songs. Like, there is no way. So I don't know what the in is. I know he's very famous. I know he's probably very wealthy, but that's where my curiosity was. I'm just like, how is he?
I think
Is there like a few seconds? Because it goes, there's like a deliberate little bite, and then it goes another bite, another little bite.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always fascinating to me. But that's where I was curious about.
What's beautiful now, though, is that the art of sampling now is growing so huge in the music production community now that they have come out with a website called TrackLib, and you can purchase the rights to a sample, basically.
Nice.
And TrackLib, you pay a monthly subscription, and TrackLib, if you buy it, you get the publishing and license for it to be able to use it at your free will, and they pay the art.
Musicians are getting a little bit.
I think it's the most amazing thing, and it's a download. You can just download it like an MP3 file, and it's just they're really like, hey man, like sampling is an art form. We're gonna
100%.
we're gonna help out. We're gonna do what we can, and most of the time, these artists like Bob James, who is the most sampled artist of all time.
Didn't know
Bob
that.
James, absolutely.
Hitting you with facts today.
He is sampled so many times, and he loves it. And he's just like, as long as I can just get my be recognized for it, do what you want. But everybody who's like really a producer, especially from the 80s and 90s, sampled Bob James at one point in time.
I like that. Okay, next question.
Yeah.
2-part. The first time that you performed in front, not getting paid, so friends, family, house party or something, and then the first time you remember getting paid as a DJ. So like 2 questions.
The first time I got paid was at the Sand Trap.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Started
Yeah.
from the bottom. Now we're here, baby.
There we go.
Yes, dude. I played.
Started from the bottom.
That's right.
Wow. The
Shout out to Sand Trap, man. Yeah, dude.
She gone now.
She's gone. Rest in peace, man.
Shout out to sanitizing all your gear after you play. Sand
The Sand
Wash your
Trap.
hands.
Yeah,
God.
dude. I did an all vinyl set at the Sand Trap back when I turned 21, and that was my first pay gig at a bar. And dude,
Do you remember how much you got paid?
I would $100 maybe.
That's not bad.
But I shared the stage.
Pretty good.
I shared the stage, and
That's pretty good.
dude, I mean, talk about the shakes.
Really? Yeah.
There was 10 people there. Talk about the shakes. Like I couldn't
You
even
like putting the needle on.
put my needle on. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even just get that. I was just like, I was so like ahead of myself. I think, I taught myself really how to DJ on stage. I got a residency early, around that same time when I was 21, 22. I got a residency, and I was playing on the weekends and playing on Tuesday nights, and I was bringing my records. And dude, like I said, I would train wreck sometimes, like trying to mix 2 records together, just train wreck. But it's like I was trying to get comfortable performing and doing my craft
Yeah.
all at the same time. And I mean, dude, talk about sweating bullets, talk about being embarrassed, talk about
I'm
stressing.
impressed that the Sand Trap cared that you were 21. So that alone right there,
That's awesome.
I played at the Sand Trap when I was 17.
100%, 100%.
They paid me with a pack of smoke
And all I could drink. Yeah.
and gave me a Jimmy. They're like, you're old enough.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy times.
True story.
True story too.
True story.
No, dude, it was fun, man. And now I've played at pretty much every local bar here, dude, and it's great,
And
man.
now this is how you make a living?
This is just side hustle, man. I mean, I'm okay with that because, dude, the 3 events a week deal, I know dudes that do it, and it is not easy. I mean, you need help. You need you're hauling in equipment, you're setting up, you're dealing with clientele, you're dealing with trying to make successful events. And dude, sometimes not all about having it all the time. You got to spend a month prepping for a gig. And I think taking that time to prep, and it pays off, you know. Quality over quantity, man, you know. And I learned that collecting records too. It's like, don't just buy every record you see, dude, you know.
And this is coming from me. That's a good reminder for venues to know that when you're hiring musicians or DJs, that DJ might be working on that set for a month. So you're paying for all of that effort going into it, and
you're so right,
the evening for a couple hours.
No, you were only here 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
But really, I spent maybe 70 hours working on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Years learning the craft.
And years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why the wedding business is so huge, and like why DJs charge $1,500 to $2,000. I mean, if you want a great DJ with production and all
I
this
charge
stuff,
$30,000 per wedding. I haven't been hired yet. But it's gonna be awesome,
dude.
With so much-
$1,500 for a wedding DJ sounds steep. It really does, but the guy knows what he's doing. I'm not at a $1,500 limit yet. I don't have the equipment and the production yet. I would love to get there one day, but it's not. It's not.
What are you at if you don't mind? So if someone wants to reach out to you for like weddings, or does it depend?
I mean, it really depends on where it's located at.
Is it your second wedding? Is it your third wedding?
Dude, be a
We
wedding
factor
DJ.
in all the things.
Dude, be a wedding DJ in Utah, bro. It's booming business.
It's your
because
first
people
wedding.
get married 3 times in their life
Oh
here,
my
dude.
Oh my God.
Dude, yeah, you can do a divorce party.
You hand out your business
You can do
card,
all
and
that.
it's like, listen, next time.
Punch
the next
card.
time.
It's a punch card.
It's a punch card.
Yeah, half off the next wedding if you book me now.
Oh shit.
But you know, I try to be fair. You know, I put my my time and effort into this. I feel like I should be paid a fair amount for that. You know, I've invested in the equipment. I'm gonna transport it up there. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna give you a kick-ass time. I gotta tear it down and I gotta drive back home, and it doesn't end there. I gotta haul it back up.
Yeah.
I gotta set it back up in my apartment again.
Yeah.
It's not easy, dude. And I do it by myself, and I think people they misunderstand us, or he's just a DJ, but it's like, dude, I'd rather be
Dude, no one's just the DJ. It's
No.
just the DJ.
We're a sound guy. We're a
We're a
light
sound
guy.
Yeah.
We're an event. We're the one who sets the tone for a whole event.
Yep.
We're a promoter. I mean, it's so much more than just playing music for somebody, you know. And I think you know, but the normal average person doesn't see that. They don't know that, you know. And so hopefully this can bring awareness to people that, hey man, DJs are tough working people, man. It's not an easy gig, and it's a lot more equipment than a guitar and a guitar amp, or just a keyboard pianist, or you know, or something. And no credit from them, but I gotta haul subs. I gotta haul.
No, we can discredit keyboardists all day.
Shit.
Dude.
Hacks, all
Oh
of
my
them.
god.
I mean, and then
All of them. Some of our closest friends. Anybody who plays the banjo, hack,
Oh my
gimmick.
God. My brother's learning to
Gimmick,
play the banjo.
gimmick,
He's going to
gimmick.
watch this. I'm going to have to hear about
dude,
it.
it's hard.
Gimmick.
It's like a harmonica. Come on.
Come on.
You know how heavy this is? You know how heavy this is.
But you pull out a harmonica, and the crowd goes crazy.
All right, Bryson, I'm guessing between 500 and 1,000 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really don't like to do somebody's wedding for less than that. I'll do like I said, it depends on the clientele. You know, you see somebody, they're just getting started, help them out, be there for them, because it could create an opportunity for you to play again. You know, be like, yeah, man, you know, I'll help you out. You know, if I can get on the next one. You know what I mean? I'm willing to work and adjust with people. I mean, this is hard times, dude. Things are so expensive, and not a lot of people have that money set aside to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pay $1,500 for a DJ. Like, dude, no, I got a house payment, I got a car payment, I got a family, I got all this and that I could put that money towards. And I think, you know, you got to be willing to work with people, man, and be flexible. I used to be so stern on my price. I'm like, dude, why? Like, you know.
Well, that's a good artist. Yes and no. I mean, that's an interesting question.
DJ's one thing that we collectively know bad DJs. Like, I mean, you want a bad DJ at your wedding?
Well, you get what you pay for.
You
Yep.
what you pay for.
Sometimes you pay too much for a bad DJ.
And there's that as well.
there's that as
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, it's like it's your
So while we're at it,
dude.
you just want to name the bad DJs in town? Like, that's,
Hey, you know what? I've been a terrible DJ sometimes, dude. So it's up and down, dude. Everybody
Well,
has them, and I think it's
yeah,
just hey,
fair.
and, you know, you're just
Yeah.
if you're just getting started, you're probably not going to be very good, man. Like I was terrible, dude. Like you
so
know,
what is a bad DJ? Because I was watching. Well, every Christmas we watch Love Actually, and there's a famous scene
Yep,
in
that's a
there.
good scene in that.
Yeah, and it was
Worst DJ ever.
Yeah, worst DJ ever. And
Yep.
it's like, this is the worst DJ ever. We'll see what he plays on this next track or whatever. And he plays some slow song, and they're like, yep, worst DJ ever. And
I
so,
think we collectively know.
is it just the track play?
Maybe it's not reading
Is
the
it
crowd. Maybe
not-
it's
not reading the crowd.
making it more about themselves than the bride and the crew.
yeah. What is it that makes it? What makes a bad DJ? I guess.
I think the lack of like awareness of your surroundings and like it really is reading your situation and reading your room. As a DJ, you have to kind of be a mind reader. You have to look, dude. You kind of have to judge people by what they're wearing or how they carry themselves or what
And how they react to
what
what
kind
you
of
play.
character they
Yeah.
have. You see somebody like sitting there and they're just like kind of just doing this. You're like, hey, I kind of have him right now, and if I just keep him on that groove, he's gonna have a good time. You know what I mean? So
And how do you bounce back from? Because I've seen this happen. I've done it where you got that. You're like, yeah, that dude's like, all right, we're bouncing. We got that girl's over there. She's moving.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm gonna hit him with this. The next thing you know, that was the wrong this. And now you gotta backtrack, right?
dude,
Yeah.
it happens. But like I said, like if you're giving them something, like play something similar to that. Like give them something that it locks in together with that vibe that you're giving them right now. Don't just make some drastic change going from, Steely Dan to Metallica. Like, don't do it. It's like you don't want to have like that abrupt change, and that's how you'll lose them.
Okay, so let's talk about like weird new modern DJ. It's like all on a thumb drive, and it's all the same beat for 4 hours, and they book Coachella. Like, what the hell is this?
I think Coachella is a type of event where these artists are on a very strict, like there's no mistakes. You go, you got to play that, things are pre-recorded. The production has to be perfect because people are paying $500 to go to this event. Yeah. I can't have a mistake happen on this stage where it's going to ruin the event, because like an event like Coachella, it's hippie, it's high vibes, it's feeling good. Like people wait their whole year to go to Coachella, It's like you can't make a mistake where it's like it jeopardizes.
And it happened to
Grimes,
and it was a BPM issue, right?
Yeah, it was a BPM issue, and that is something that's an easy mistake, man. Like I don't think she should be getting the type of hate that she was getting, because it's just a mistake, and she was on a huge stage. How do you react to something like that when something is just train wrecking? I mean, what do? Maybe you admit and be like, hey, I don't know what happened.
I agree. You kind of got to roll with it, but still, that's an enormous stage, like you said. Like that's a rough.
And I think people are so quick. Most of the people that are just like, she doesn't know what she's doing, don't DJ, or they don't know. Right. They don't know the. I mean, there's so much different types of equipment out there, man. Like you have to learn these things. You get jumped. You're playing with your equipment. You're getting familiar with your stuff. Well, you come stand behind my stuff. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So there's ways. I have a controller. I have to adapt. I have to know how to use the turntables. I have to learn how to use the controller. It's kind of the same concept no matter what controller you use or whatever type of turntables or whatever you use. It's kind of the same concept, but you need to learn to adapt with your environment, because some gigs, they have equipment there. You don't have to bring it. If you're that popular, that big of a DJ, you don't carry equipment.
Right.
Be like, you carry your laptop, dude, or your thumb drive, and this is what you work with.
Right.
And
I think the good and the bad of it is that the attention span for, hate and love is about 3 days, maybe 4 days or something. And so if she just played her next gig and it was great, then they'll forget all
No,
that.
it's that part's
last
true.
one.
Yeah. Now Susan DJs weekends, and so Susan, do you have any questions?
No,
we're going-
I had no
Now we're
idea.
going back.
Like I had no idea what
Yeah?
it took to DJ. Yeah.
No, it's a lot, right?
Yeah, so
Like,
I
it's-
think going from here on out, you always pay Bryson $2,000 every gig.
You get,
I
you'll
mean, just-
get what you pay for.
You heard
Every
it
gig.
here.
yeah. Again,
Yeah, I had no idea. That's really remarkable.
It's much deeper than I think what people just see on
Yeah.
the face surface, and I hope it can bring awareness to people on being like, hey man, like, respect the DJ, whether he's good or he's not, respect it. He hauled the equipment in, he's doing his best to play. It's all experience. You're gonna have great gigs, you're gonna have bad gigs,
Everything.
just like anything else. And I think, I played last Friday down in Salt Lake at a bar called the Pearl, all vinyl set, disco, funk, great vibes. I went to Funk and Dive that Saturday, and I'm having a hard time reading this crowd. I'm not using records this time. I'm using my computer. I got millions of songs, tons of songs, and I'm up there, and I'm like, I can't get a grasp on these people. I'm playing jams,
yeah.
but I can't get the grasp. I don't know if people just aren't feeling like getting up and dancing. People are shy. It doesn't mean I had a bad night, but inside I'm like, I couldn't grasp these people
Interesting.
tonight.
Next time it's always bad boys, bad boys.
Only when the cops
What are you
show
gonna
up,
do?
man. Only when the cop. I will only play it if the cops show up.
There you go.
That's the only type of impact it really has.
Todd, what's your go-to jam that you get up and dance to when you hear it? Footloose?
Every time. Yeah. I'm a big John Denver fan, so you put on some John Denver for me.
Well, Neil Diamond,
Neil Diamond, there's two types of people out there.
Bum, bum, bum.
Those who love Neil Diamond and those who do not. Yeah,
What side are you on?
Neil Diamond. Oh, all the way Neil Diamond.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of,
I can appreciate whatever you play. As long as it's, you're enthusiastic, That, to me, that's the biggest thing, too, is I'm not into a bored DJ, and I have seen some of those that are playing okay music, but it's just like they look like
No,
they're bored.
bored
Are
the
you on
ones
the
that
phone
bug-
right now? Are you on the phone right
Yeah.
now?
Are you that bored?
The ones that bug me are the ones that are like they look like they're just too cool for school. They do
bit of
like
that.
Right? Yeah, they just don't talk.
Listen,
yeah,
it's
and
part
I'm
of
like,
the-
I don't know.
Dude, I wave at people.
Nice.
And people
Yes.
think that.
See, I like
yeah.
all that. I like all
I
that.
think
yeah.
DJs I think people think like, oh, DJs are intimidating or something, or like I've always kind of, even when I got started, I was like,
I mean, I'm a
DJs
little
are
scared
kinda
of you.
dicks, like,
Yeah.
and like, but it's like I think like being that character behind the decks is like so important. Like, be yourself, have fun, dance, and enjoy yourself. Whether it's not really all that moving, you like the music that you're
Yeah.
playing, so nod your head and have fun, and cheers people or whatever, and be like, hey, you guys, welcome in, thanks for the first people that start dancing on my dance floor. You know what I mean? Like, shout out
Yeah.
to the first people. These
Yeah.
people right here, first ones to dance
That's
tonight.
great. Yeah.
Shout out.
Absolutely.
Like, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
You had the first drinks 2 hours ago or 1 hour ago. Or whatever it is. Yeah.
Right? And so
Everybody's got to catch up.
You were at the front.
if you want to be a good DJ, acknowledge people, man. Like, the music is beautiful, but wave to people. Let them know that you're friendly. Like, let them know that they can come and they can stand, and they're welcome to stand right in front of you and watch you play.
Oh, I have an idea, Susan.
Uh-oh.
We need to have Bryson DJ a watercolor class.
There we go. Paint to
Yeah.
the music.
I'll play some Billy Ocean.
There you go.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make us feel like we're in the tropics or
There we
something.
go.
Yeah. That's it.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we get to Susan, who do you look up to, man? Who's your DJ idols? Who do you follow? And it's like, ooh, this guy's really good. Or
Dude,
girl's
I
really
am.
good.
I'm about the dudes who first started this art form, man. The Grandmaster Flashes from back in the 70s and 80s in the Bronx. Back then, you have to pay respect to Grandmaster Flash and DJ Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa. They're the godfathers of this art form, playing the records back in the Bronx in 1973. They started this movement, so I will always look up to the founding fathers of it. But over time, I mean, dude, there's just been incredible DJs, and Pete Rock, DJ Premier, Jay Dilla. I mean, all these people are just they're legends in the production and DJ world. Jazzy Jeff.
Don't
Yeah,
forget
I mean,
the Fresh Prince.
dude. I think there's so many great DJs out there. DJ Qbert, Mixmaster Mike from Beastie Boys. Just talented people who scratch records, and I mean the scratching art form within itself. People totally look past that normal average people. I scratch a record, and there's ways to do that. That's fluent. It's almost like playing the electric guitar, man. Like you're doing these different types of notes. You can do that with a vinyl record, and or on your controller too. You can do it. There's different ways to scratch, man. And if you can scratch, and it's funky and it's fun and it makes sense, and it's just like that's a whole other art form of like learning how to scratch a record too. That is just so much fun.
I haven't begun to learn that yet. It fascinates me though. It's so cool.
There's DJs that just play music. There's just DJs that just scratch, and you go to just watch a DJ scratch records, and you're like, no way, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And it's so creative, and it's intriguing for sure.
Is this something you want to do full time?
Yeah, man. You know what? Like, yeah, I would love to do music full time.
Yeah.
I think like, I think if you make it full time, it could become stressful, and it can become where I hope it doesn't put a sour taste in your mouth, or you lose the love for your craft because it became your job.
Yeah.
I think having it as a side hustle for now, I have plenty of time to work on my craft. I got plenty of time to work a job. I got plenty of time to work gigs. If I can have that even lifestyle of the discipline of getting up and going and working, and then dude, I got a gig this weekend. I got to prep and get ready for it. That's nice as well. Now, if I'm just go, sometimes, like I said, less is more. And I don't have that. If I'm just gigging all the time, I don't have time to practice. I don't have time to curate these sets. I go through my record collection, and I BPM organize these.
Yeah.
I organize them by the speed, from slow to fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to go through and listen to the songs on these records and be like, this is the song I would DJ. I got to figure out the tempo of that song, and then that record goes in that.
And how long is the set? Like 3 hours?
Just for a vinyl set, 4 hours max. I mean, that's a lot of records, dude.
Yeah.
And you got to pace yourself.
Because do you go half song, full song?
Yeah, dude. For a lot. I'm pretty quick, man. Like, I like to be kind of fast. I think it's entertaining. I like to play 1 minute 30 seconds.
Wow.
Like, I mean, get it in and get it out.
That's like a dream podcast length for me. We could keep it to like 1.5 minute chunks. All I need. That is all I need. If we get that
I thought you were
out
going
of
to say
this show,
something else, but podcast. Yeah, that's fine. Podcast.
Dude, it's just
1.5 minute tops.
Minute and a half tops. Minute and a half tops.
And the original dudes, they would play. That's what they would do. They'd play the best parts of those songs and be done. They're on to the next one. It's called playing the breaks. So the early DJs would play the breaks. So they would be playing a rock or a funk record, and then that song's playing, and then maybe like 3 minutes into the song, there's a drum breakdown. And the crowd would kind of just like, that's their favorite part, right? And that's where like break dancing came from.
Play the break.
Playing the breaks, right? So you would play.
Right?
So you would find the breaks, the best parts of these tracks, and you would play them for people, and you would just play just that part. You'd have two of the same record playing that drum break, play it again on this one, rewind it, play it again from the top. Here we go, play it again. So you're just playing the same drum loop
Fascinating.
over and over again, which takes technical skill to do that with the vinyl record, because that needle can just slide right out of that groove, and you're onto a different part of the song. So, I mean, there's ways of doing that, playing the breaks, and that's when people would dance. So then people would get on the floor and start spinning on their heads, or they would start doing break dance moves, and people don't know that's where break dancing
No
came
idea.
from.
I had no idea.
Is dancing
But it is
on breaks.
interesting that I see Susan doing that over there every once in a while.
I do
She throws down the cardboard boxes,
I
and you
know.
know she's at it.
It's actually because I've dropped a paintbrush.
It's right.
And when you're really old, it takes a lot of movement
It's a
to get
different
back
kind
up
of
off
break.
the floor.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's
different
like a
kind
hip.
of break.
That's what
The
that is.
hip.
Yeah.
The hip break.
It's a hip break. It's exactly what it is.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
Old school. We're talking old school.
We're talking old
dear
school.
God.
Classic
Yeah.
move. Classic move.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
God, not many people can do that, by the way. That's a skill.
Oh, the hip breaker? Yeah, no way, man.
It's all new stuff. Bryson, we're glad we have you in town, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Wow, did I
guys.
learn a lot?
Yeah, right? Like I learned so much.
I'm sitting here, my brain's full.
Yeah.
I have
well,
nothing to say.
Okay, well,
Perfect.
That's-
Susan, we're out of
A
time.
minute and a half. Here we go.
And there's so much more. So, but yeah,
there's
I
so
love
much
it.
more. We'll have to have you
Lots
back.
more.
Thank you for having me. I
We'll
appreciate
pick up where we left off.
Amazing.
There, Bryson, because I do have more questions just because I do dabble in it a little bit, but we'll have to bring you back.
Right on. Sweet, man. Let's
yeah.
do it.
You're amazing.
Susan,
Are we transitioning into DJ Hip Breaker?
DJ Hitbreaker.
DJ Hitbreaker. God, I wish I'd gone first now.
DJ
Dang, I don't wanna
Hitbreaker.
follow that. It's like,
No, you're great.
amazing.
You're great. I know you're talented. You have so much talent.
oh my gosh.
You got it.
I think this is
found it
fun.
yet, but-
Todd, you got questions for DJ Hitbreaker?
Yeah. Let's get a proper introduction first. Let's see what happens next.
Susan Snyder, watercolor extraordinaire and naturalist. Spent a lot of time at the Nature Center.
I did. I spent about, that was my second career. I spent about,
Wait, what was the first career?
I was a journalist for 25 years.
For who?
4 newspapers. I worked for 4 different news, 2 in Florida. The Tampa Tribune was one, and then I worked here at the Standard Examiner as a columnist for I think 5 or 6 years, and then I moved to Las Vegas and worked there as a columnist, and then moved back here because my husband and I decided after 6 years we hated Las Vegas. Let me just tell you, I'm just gonna say it's a great place to visit, but dear God, when it's 115 degrees,
Yeah,
I
Todd
just
knows
can't.
something about that.
Yeah, I just can't. I mean, I didn't hate it. I shouldn't say that because I learned a lot there, and I did a lot of really cool stuff.
What stories are you writing in Vegas? Because dear God, that's
So
a
I was I started out I went there as I had been a columnist here. So when I moved there, they put me into the news beat, and I was actually working for an editor that I worked for in Tampa who had moved out there from Tampa, and a really good friend of mine. And he called up and said, "Hey, come to Vegas." I said, "Well, yeah, let's go to Mars. I'm just, I'm not that person, right?" So I went to Vegas. They put me up in a high rise and the penthouse thing before the interview. And I was like, "Okay, I'll move here." And so anyway, I went and I was a news reporter at first. And what's funny is the first story I reported on, you followed other reporters around for about 3 weeks so that you understood how things worked. And the first thing I reported on was a mob trial for Tony Spitaglero.
Can we talk about this?
Tony the Ant Spitaglero.
Are we going to get in trouble for this later?
No, they're all dead now. But it was wild because I walk in. So here I'm coming from.
They're all at the bottom of the
here
lake.
I'm coming
so we're
from
Like
Clearwater, Florida, Tampa, Florida, Ogden, Utah, and then I go to Vegas, and they want me to cover a mob trial, right? So because the guy is on vacation. The guy who's going to cover is on vacation. Well, yeah, I had to take vacation too. So I'm sitting there, and I walk in, and there's a row where most of the press usually sits. So I walk in, and I sit down, and we're basically on the prosecution side of the courtroom, and on the other side is the defendant's side, and it looks like callbacks from a Contadina commercial. I mean, I'm just like sitting there going, and they just sit there, and they have people that just sit there and stare at you.
Oh shit, no.
And they just look at you.
Yeah.
And so here I'm, and my hands are shaking, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I asked the president, I want to see the documents afterwards, the pleadings, all that stuff, so that I make sure I don't screw up anything, right? And of course, the next morning, I wrote up, and I wrote a little story about it. No big deal. I don't understand how La Cosa Nostra works. I don't, and so there was a lot of that. I had to learn how the mob actually is set up, and the guy who was who was talking was a rat, and he died. And they'd have these recordings they're playing, and they're talking about whacking a guy, and then they're at a Waffle House, and the lady comes and oh yeah, and I'll have the waffles with the bacon and then they go back to talking about whacking a guy, and I'm just like, this is just surreal.
It's a Quentin Tarantino movie.
It was absolutely, and there was a time I parked in a different place every day, in case they didn't like what I wrote. I looked under my car. I mean,
my
it's just
gosh,
like I don't
yeah.
want to get blown up.
No, I wouldn't have thought that's wild.
Yeah, it was really wild. And then, but I mean, that's not all Vegas. And then I ended up being a columnist, a lifestyle columnist there for the last few years I was there. I wrote a lot about the people who live there, the people who are, I would ride the bus because nobody rode the bus. So I would ride the bus because I was a bicycle commuter and I had 22 miles each way, and when it's 115 degrees in the summer,
that's so far.
you take the 8 miles across the bottom where you have to cross a strip, and you get on the bus. And I would ride the bus with these people. And there are people in Vegas that are the most normal people were working 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and that's the Vegas you don't really hear about, and the Vegas you don't report on, and you don't talk about. And it wasn't glamorous, and I caught a lot of crap from other media about writing about these people that are ne'er-do-wells, and
Like the dark side.
well, I mean, Vegas is not built on winners. Let's be honest. I mean, my favorite column was about the people who would stand in line at the Tropicana, which is now, I guess, being torn down or was torn down, to play tic-tac-toe against a chicken.
What the fuck?
What?
They had a chicken.
Sounds about right.
What?
They had a chicken in an enclosure who would come out, right, and would peck at different things to make the X's and the O's show up, right? Okay, they're putting food. The chicken is not
people
playing
bet on this?
tic-tac-toe. Oh, yeah. And the chicken is not playing tic-tac-toe. And I was standing, and I just stood in line with these people, and they would stand in line for like 2 hours to play tic-tac-toe against the chicken. And so I was sitting there writing about them, and these people are looking at me.
Is this?
And these guys that turn around, look at each other really seriously and go, well, you know why the chicken always gets to go first. He's always going to win. And I'm just like,
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
Oh my
serious?
God.
Oh, you say it was fantastic. It was just, I mean, so it was a great experience. Made a lot of good friends. Got some really interesting experience. On the weekends, I was assigned to start writing about environmental issues, and I knew nothing about the Mojave Desert. And Spring Mountain Ranch State Park there that had a docent program that my husband and I,
what?
a docent. So docents are people at museums and parks that are volunteers, and they lead you around and they teach you things about the resource, the place. And they had this. The reason I signed up for it with my husband is that he wanted to volunteer. I was like, well, I'll do what I have to do. But it was an 8-week training program, and it was a crash course in all the history, the geology, and the flora, the fauna of the Mojave Desert. And I'm like, I'm there.
Dude, when a crash course is 8 weeks, that's like halfway to a master's.
Well,
what are we
it
doing?
was a
Like,
lot.
come
It
on.
was a lot. I mean, we learned about everything. The day they did herpetology, the day they did all the reptiles, and when they had all the snakes in the pillowcases and the Gila monster and the thing, I sat in the back of the room that day because I was near the door. 'Cause I was like,
Whoa.
there's only so much of this I'm going to take, and then I'm going to bolt. I'm going to be gone. But it was a really interesting thing. But what was interesting
Fine with
about
gangsters, but just not Gila
that,
monsters.
not Gila monsters. Yeah, I was okay with the gangsters.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know how they think.
It's very telling.
Yeah, they're kind of reptilian too, though. They don't really
They're
care.
kind of reptilian.
They don't really care, So yeah, but it was interesting. So that was what actually gave me the background to do some of the stuff I did when I moved back to Ogden. My husband had retired. We came here to buy a little house to go skiing. We were here in the early '90s, coming back to ski, and we were like looking at housing prices, and I was like, well, I miss Ogden. He said, well, let's get a little house. So we did, and as soon as we bought it, we moved. I came back to Ogden that first month. I said, I'm done. I'm done with it. I miss this too much. I loved Ogden when I lived here. I knew we'd always come back. And so we came back. And that's when I started looking. I mean, at the time I was an editorial writer at that point for the Las Vegas Sun. So I wrote about national issues, mostly environmental issues, endangered species stuff for the paper. And as an editorial board, you write as a collective head, right? So you don't write your opinion. It's the opinion of the board of 8 of us or 6 of us who would get up. And so that was actually pretty fun when I was doing that. So, but that's kind of what led me into the whole teaching for the Ogden Nature Center thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I was writing about, I had to write something about our editorial board editor wanted to know why it was important for the pygmy rabbit to be endangered. I remember this day, and we had.
I think we've all wondered that a long time.
Oh no, we had a huge argument. It was bad. It was like, why is the pygmy rabbit important? And I was like, I don't know.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
I don't know. And the fact that I didn't know that I couldn't craft a good argument as to why that needed to happen meant that there are probably hosts of adults out there making decisions who have no idea why it's important that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So that's when I started thinking, okay, writing about environmental issues is great as a journalist. is great, but learning more deeply about them and making sure that people learn not what's right and wrong, but how nature actually works at a ground level when they're young is probably better. Because people make decisions how they're going to make them. They make them based on their gut. They make them based on their experiences. They make them based on what they know. They're not going to make them based on what they read in 500 words from some stupid journalist who writes every Sunday, right? So I was like, well, you know what? I wanted to do
Wait, so
something
you're
different.
not changing minds? And
I'm not sure I ever did. I know I argued with some people.
yeah.
I had some pretty good argument. I had a really good argument with Pito once, but that was
About what?
so. And you know, but journalism was starting to get weird when I got out, and I just decided
like
to-
how? What do you mean?
Well, I think
When'd you get out?
when was it? 98, 2000. Wait a minute, 2000. Trying to think. So I quit, and then it's for a certain amount of time I was actually still writing editorials and teaching for the Ogden Nature Center in the afternoons part time. So I think it was 2007.
So it's only been weird since 2007.
Well, it was getting a little weird before that. I mean, you know, social media was starting to come up, and you know, the people who got more attention and hits was more important than how not truth, but how important it was. Does that make sense? I mean, we've become social media's made it possible for us to consume only the type of information we want to see.
Yeah, what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, when in the old days in the newspaper, you got what you got.
Yep.
You know, and you may not have agreed with it, you may not have liked it, but at least you knew stuff, right? And you could decide on those things. But now it's a little different.
Do you
and
miss the newspaper?
I miss the old newspaper days. I don't miss what I left.
Yeah. And when was that, do you think? When do you think people stopped? When do you think the newspaper business changed?
You know, the more they got bought out by
Sure.
by big conglomerates, and you had to, you know, they wanted a 25% profit margin every quarter, which is just unheard of for any business, but especially one that, you know, deals in stuff that people don't want to hear.
Or pay for.
Yeah, or pay for. Yeah, I would say the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it's been a long time now.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And it's not that I don't trust the press now. I have a lot of friends who are still in it.
Sure.
I just think that, you know, it's hard. You can see how hard it is for the smaller papers. I think there's a lot we're missing just because they just don't have the capital.
There's so few papers left.
There's so
at all.
few left, and they don't have the capital to operate the way they need to, you know. So, you know, I mean, it's I still respect them quite a bit for what they're doing. I'm glad they stuck with it. It wasn't for me. I enjoyed all that time I taught at the Ogden Nature Center. It actually led me back to my art, because I've been an artist early on.
Yeah, back to so when did you start?
Well, so I've always been an artist as a kid. Took a lot of art lessons, did all that. Started college as a fine arts major, my undergrad, and took. Let's just be honest. I partied a lot my freshman year.
We know.
What?
We know. Come
The
on.
third quarter of my
We
freshman
know.
year, I'm like, okay, I need a class I can get an A in a couple of classes I can get an A in to pull my grade point average up, or my
that's
dad's
funny.
going to put me in a cage, right? So, I
In
took-
Vegas,
I
in
took a-
Tiger.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
it was in, basically. Not that kind of
Exactly.
guy. My dad would never have.
The lady was you, wasn't it, out there?
Yeah, no. I've never been a lady either. But anyway, so we so I took this journalism 101 class because I was always pretty good at English and writing, but I tested out of all the English I could take on my SATs, so I was now going to be going to really hard, boring English, or hey, let's take this journalism class. This looks like fun. So I took a journalism 101 class. It was taught by a local reporter, and he called me up after class one day, and he said, "Hey," he said, "What's your major anyway?" I said, "Well, fine art." He goes, "Are you a good artist?" I said, I'm pretty good. You know, I certainly wasn't the best, right? And I said, "I'm pretty good." And he goes, "Art's really hard." He says, "You're going to really need to be really good to be in art." And he goes, "And I can tell you right now, you're really good at this." And you know, when you're young and you're like 18 or 19 years old and you're floundering around for what you're going to do to be a grown up,
Yeah.
and another adult who does something that you sort of admire takes that kind of, I mean, you know, that moment in time reminded me of, it followed me all the way through all my teaching at the Nature Center. You can say one thing to a kid
Interesting.
and
yeah.
it makes a huge, it's nothing to you, right?
Right.
But it means something to them
Right.
forever. And so you have to be really careful in what you say, negative and positive, you know, because he threw me into this trajectory, and I changed my major, and I went to school for journalism at that point and worked at the school newspaper and was a columnist at the paper, and I enjoyed it. I still enjoy writing. I still write. I mean, I still do some writing. I still do freelance work.
Well, you got
did a
no
big-
trouble talking, so
I'm sorry. Yeah, I do. 110 words a minute.
I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I really enjoy it.
It was a crazy trajectory. And what was really funny about it was I always made jokes with my mom before she passed away that I've managed to find jobs that I liked more as I went along that always made less money. It's fantastic.
Oh, jeez.
Started as a journalist, then you drop down to working
Yeah.
as a teacher for a nonprofit, and now I'm a self-employed artist. I don't know what's
Yeah,
next.
yeah. Well, you're rolling now.
I think
yeah.
it's sitting out. We'll work for podcast. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, we talked about that.
That's how I got here.
Yeah,
There you
well,
go.
yeah. We
So,
found Bryson
but-
on 25th Street with a sign that said, "Will work." Put me on your podcast.
Put me on your podcast.
I was
yeah.
covered in white paint and
Looked like a little tiger. Didn't you?
a little tiger out there.
Yeah.
So what do you got here going on at the Monarch?
So
Talk
now,
to me about this.
so I it's all the same thing. When I was an environmental writer, I wanted people to understand what was out there and how to enjoy what they were seeing. And as teaching at the Ogden Nature Center, I want people to find their own connection to nature. I don't want to tell them what it is. I just want to show them all the things I possibly can and let them be connected.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with my art. I mean, I paint a lot of birds. I'm a birder.
I love birds.
Yeah.
I take photos of birds. I love birds.
I love birds. I'm on the Wasatch Audubon Society board. I have been for years and years and years. And but I paint a lot of birds, and I paint them as a portrait without any backgrounds. So they're not another component of a landscape. They are somebody who's looking at you, and you need to look back at them.
It's really cool.
Our birds are changing. Their ranges are changing. They're moving. Some of them are losing breeding grounds because of climate change. And so I like to paint these birds that I want people to notice them. I want them to know who they are. I want them to see that they're there, that they're not just another part of this landscape that we see, this overall thing that we see, but they're one by one they're little living beings like we are, and they're being
I
affected.
saw the most beautiful yellow finch, maybe up in South Fork. Oh my God,
You
it
have
was
little red
gorgeous.
stripies on it. All bright yellow.
bright yellow.
Yeah, yellow warbler, probably.
Warbler.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There's two big bald eagles with a baby up in Manaway.
Oh yeah, they do.
And I was staying up there, and I would ride my bike around the lake, and I would go see bald eagles on demand. And I would just stand there and look up at these bald eagles, and they would just look down at me, and I'm just like, the coolest thing.
Those are big birds.
Yeah,
man.
and they raise them
so
together.
cool.
That's what's so cool about bald eagles.
Yeah, they have these huge
Well, they
nests.
share the load.
They do share
There's
load.
some cute owls that are up
Load.
there that
Yep.
you would walk right past them because they're just so camouflaged, and they're just the coolest things. So many birds up in the Manaway area.
There are
Interesting.
a lot. It's a great place to bird.
How do you choose the birds that you paint?
So for the last couple of years, I've been focusing on the 328 birds that are on an Audubon list of birds that are losing or I'm not going to say losing their ranges are changing due to climate change. I mean, some are going to be more abundant, some are going to be less abundant, some are going to move. At a certain point, they're predicting that 50 years we might not see black-billed magpies here. And a lot of people go, "Yay, no more magpies!"
Yeah, thank God.
But when
Yeah.
you move out here from back east, like I did,
What's our chance of losing all the seagulls?
Oops.
Is that gonna-
We will never lose them.
we will never lose seagulls.
Todd
As
ate
long-
seagulls.
As long as
Oh
we
my
have
God.
French fries.
Yeah, as long as McDonald's is
As
around.
long as we got fries and dumpsters, man, we're never out of the gulls.
I just want to talk to an
Never.
expert.
And if,
So
and if people don't pick up their trash at the lake, dang it, pick up your trash.
The gulls
Oh
are
my
forever.
because if there's anything we can do to help speed that along, I am happy.
Be happy to help. Keep driving that car. I'll tell you what.
Oh my God.
Nice.
I tell you, when I lived in Clearwater, Florida, that was actually a fun thing
so
to watch.
funny.
It was the little kids walking away from the concession stand with their
Oh.
French fries, and then the gulls come and they're gone. It's just,
I don't,
Well,
want,
that's
I don't want
Todd's
people to
story.
think that I hate seagulls, but
Kinda.
They're mean. I mean,
You wouldn't be
they'll
alone.
take your stuff.
they will take your stuff.
Yeah.
rats.
They don't care.
They will take your stuff.
Yeah.
They don't care, but you
And
know,
they'll poop on your stuff too.
they will.
It's
They will.
ridiculous.
They absolutely will. Your car.
So how far through that list are you now?
God, I think well, the problem is I get stuck on some of them that I really love. I can
Like
paint 'em over and
research
over
or
and over
something
and
like
over and over.
that?
And I like to paint them in different positions, and I
Sure.
like to paint them and paint them and paint them, and then also I like to have them around for a little bit, and then people buy them right away, and it's like, oh, I really like looking at that whooping crane, so I got to do them again. So I'm probably about halfway through.
Do you try to find them, photograph them? What's your
I do.
reference?
So my husband used to. He doesn't take as many pictures as he used to. He has a lot of photos he's taken of birds for me. A lot of them are yeah, I look for them. I see them. I watch them, and I pull it out of my head a lot.
Stalk them.
So I stalk them.
They're like a little alone time,
I
please.
stalk-
Oh God.
I stalk lots of things. No, I just stalk them.
The other day I was working and she was just peering through the window.
Just like right there to the window.
Have you ever seen me sitting behind my desk with binoculars looking through your window? Like,
The binoculars. From your studio.
She was birding other artists
I
at
was
the
birding
Monarch.
other artists. What's he doing over there?
You look
Yeah.
up, she's there. You look away, she's gone.
God,
You look
God,
back,
it was
she's
the
gone.
weirdest thing. Yeah.
But
You
I
don't know if
will.
you saw something or not.
You're so bad.
The rare endangered podcaster.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There's not enough of us, for
What are you
sure.
doing over there?
We're migrating too, just so you know.
You're migrating too?
Yeah, I don't know
No.
where. But
Out of the basement into the studio.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. God.
Yeah, so I don't know. So sometimes, and a lot of them I know. I mean, there are some obviously I've not been able to see. They're in Alaska, places like that. I look at a lot of photos. I don't just recreate photos. I mean, you know, if I'm going to paint a bird that's in a really weird pose, and I really like that pose, I will actually contact the photographer, and most will say yes, you can recreate that bird, but I will ask. And I'll always offer, you know, if I sell this painting, do you want part of the money? And I've always said that, and they always say no.
It's a remix.
You know, but
Bryson.
it is
sampling.
like a remix.
It's sampling.
It's a sampling, but you know, at a certain point, it's not just sampling. It's a because your composition matters. You know, it's really, and so a lot of the birds I paint, they're almost like busts. It's like, you know, just part up. You know, and so I don't necessarily do the whole bird, but I've done that a couple of times, and I've asked. You know, can I recreate this? Can I do this? And the artists and the photographers generally say yes. They just appreciate you asking.
Yeah.
You know, and if they said no, I wouldn't do it. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. Because a lot of, you know, a bird's a bird. You know, a magpie's a magpie. And so, you know, you can look at, you know, 40 photos of magpies if you've never seen one before, and then have a shape in your head. It's, you know, painting and drawing is all just, it's just adding to the shapes we already know. We already know circle and square and triangle. And now I just add other shapes to that. You know,
You make it sound so easy.
Drawing is a technical skill you learn. You know, it really is. It's a matter of seeing shapes. It's a matter of forgetting that you're looking at a tree, because your brain works in images, and you know, okay, that's a tree, and this is the tree I have in my head, and it doesn't look like that tree, and so that interferes. So then you just start looking at, okay, it's a line that goes up like this and comes out here, and you know,
Interesting.
just that
Imagination too.
Yeah.
Like
you just gotta
accessing that part of your brain.
you just gotta push aside what you think you know and draw what you see and not what you think you see.
So if people want to purchase anything from you, how do we go about that?
You can come down to the Monarch. We're here most of the time. I haven't been. I say that knowing that my business partner Kate Bruce and I have been out of town for like the last 2 months. I had a couple of shows to work and then a wedding back east. But we're usually down here, you know, Wednesday through Saturday here at the Monarch, and stay in right behind the art box. Or you can go to sageartutah.com.
Sage Art. That is Sage. S-A-G.
Sage S-A-G-E artutah.com.
Awesome.
Across from the Banyan Studio. That's
Across
all you
from the
have to
Banyan
say.
Yeah, yeah.
There you are.
Yeah, right across from this
We are right across
trailer
from the
that's out in the wilderness right now.
We need more birds over here. That's what we need.
You know, we are missing some. I got one of her feathers over here,
Yeah.
but
That's a start.
that's really it.
Missing the
So,
rest of the bird.
Little bird background noises, campfire sounds.
Yeah,
Hey,
I like that.
to create the aesthetic.
good idea. Susan, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you finally came on. I mean, you've been over here
It's fun.
forever.
Forever. Well, I know, but you know.
Invite you on finally.
Oh, yeah.
And thanks for the coffee every once in a while, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well,
Appreciate that.
it helps me.
And wine.
It helps me keep my hands steady.
Yeah, so she's a great neighbor. We get free coffee, free wine every
Yeah.
once in a while.
Every night.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then she drinks all our beer, so it's a trade.
It's a trade.
Trade.
Really good trade. So.
She's like, you got some beer over there, don't you?
Oh, God.
We did. We
yeah,
did.
we had it.
Yep.
You
I don't
had
know
it.
where it went. Susan!
Crack noise from across the hallway.
She lures us out, sneaks
Oh,
in.
God.
Sneaks
That's
it
fantastic.
That's awesome.
Bryson, Dearden, Susan, Snyder, thanks so much for coming on the
fun.
show
Thank
today.
you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Really.
Todd, you got anything to leave us with here today?
I think we're in a good place.
Okay.
I know I always like to mention what's at the gallery. We had an amazing opening reception down at the Finchley Gallery on Friday, and so come check it out. It's a great show, and that's Monday through Friday. Tuesday nights tonight we're open until 8:30 p.m. But it's kind of typical gallery hours. Or reach out to me, and I'll make sure I'm there for you.
Saturdays at the Nature Center are free for a minute. Do you know anything about that, Susan?
Yeah, they usually get a grant from RAMP to do that
in the summer.
In the summer, so it goes. I guess it goes to the end of August. It usually does. So, yeah.
Yep. So if you got kids and want to take them out to the nature center, free on Saturdays, which is awesome.
Oh, I should probably mention the artist's name. I apologize. I was just talking about the gallery. It's Mark England, who, by the way, amazing painter, but he is also an owner of this incredible gelato place called Dolcetti at 9th and 9th down in Salt Lake. It's kind of an institution down there. And he had some at the opening, which was...
Oh, cool.
Oh, it was so good. And then Marissa Albrecht is the other artist. It's kind of a mixed media artist. Really good shows right now.
Fun.
Awesome. Thank you to Banyan One. That's this trailer right here for powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. You can listen and subscribe to Ogden Arts Adventure on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. BanyanCollective.com is the web address, and we are also, if you're like the 5 people who have the Podbean app, we're on that as well. If you want to be on
Old school.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want to be on the podcast and you don't know how to apply, it's really hard. Slide into my DMs at Ogden Adventure. No one's done it yet. You could be the first. I don't know. I say this every podcast.
And there's a selection committee, and you have to go through the whole.
It does get complicated later on. If you find value in this podcast, you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media and just give us all your money. This week's Outdoor Jukebox, we will leave you with it's crushing it on YouTube right now, because normally our YouTube uploads for van sessions get between, 100 to 500 or something. And this one's at 3,400 in the first few days. This is New School Love by KJ Ward, who is 1/4 of the members of the Backseat Lovers. So KJ Ward with New School Love. We'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show.
The rain hits my window as the storm sneaks in, and the tears left on my pillow remind me of a time back then. Oh darling, are you with me? Can you kiss me in the morning? You left your clothes here in the closet, lock the door when you come in. Took a new path, new direction, where the nights became later. Oh, our love, it grew greater, and your eyes were covered up by the dust of our old love. And this new school love's not what I'm thinking of. Let's read a book and fall in love. And baby, I'm thinking of you, and it's all that I can do. And let's go somewhere brand new, and let's fall in love like it's old school, like it's old school. Build a greenhouse out of white oak, then burn a fire with cherry wood. Let's plant a garden in the summer, grow nectarines and pumpkins in the fall. Let's raise a family of little ones, watch them grow up and build a tree house. And we'll send them off to college, or wipe the tears off as they walk away. covered up by the dust of our old love. And this new school love's not what I'm thinking of. Let's read a book and fall in love. And baby, I'm thinking of you. And it's all that I can do. And let's go somewhere brand new. And let's fall in love like it's old school. Like it's old school love.
Yeah.
Thank you.
DJ Ward on Band Sessions.